So for the last hour of today, we're going to focus on the cross-cutting support that PIFA offers to the funded projects. And first up, we're going to hear about EnergyRev, which is our academic consortium. So over to you, Stephen.
Thanks very much, Jenny. Can I just check that you can hear me okay?
Yep, sounding great.
Perfect. So good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to speak to you. And I'm sorry we're not doing it face-to-face, but what I want to do is give you an overview of EnergyRev, which is actually the Energy Revolution Research Consortium. Now, I've got quite a few slides with details on it. I don't intend to go through all of them in detail. That's to help when the slides are circulated later. And there will be contact details available through this event. So what I want to do is give you a flavour of what we're trying to achieve and the value we're trying to add, and provide you with some information that you can take away and look at, and then build contacts, etc. from there. So let me tell you about the consortium. So this is the part of the Prospering from the Energy Revolution that brings some of the academic or the wider academic base in. So the idea behind this consortium was to have a major academic program that sits alongside the other demonstrators, design projects, and wider PIFA activities that are going on. And this resulted in a consortium of 22 universities and 32 co-investigators. So it's a very large consortium, but the concept is that we're bringing together the best expertise across everything that's relevant to smart local energy systems from an academic perspective. So what we've tried to do is assemble the team that's best connected, both internationally and in the UK, to some of the major challenges in this area. And we have created a program that we hope clicks onto and supports the other activities within PIFA and offers a broader value and broader opportunities to support and grow some of those activities. So we've put together a major program in this area, which I won't be able to go into in great detail in this call, but you can see in front of you just now some of the key technical, policy and business areas where we have assembled expertise from the different academics in the UK. And if I just move on, really there's three main missions for us. And if you look at the bullet points below, that's where we try to support the overall program. So really the three main areas we're interested in is gathering synthesized and collected knowledge about what's coming out of both PIFA and what's coming out of the broader activities internationally. Within the program, we will do some novel research to support the learning and the innovations within smart local energy systems. But we will also explore how smart local energy concepts within the PIFA projects can perhaps broaden, can go beyond the PIFA timescales that the program runs in, and can go broader in terms of international reach. So unlike other academic programs, it's not all about the novel research, it's in there, but there's also a range of supporting studies and supporting activities. And there are a number of colleagues on the call today and on the video conference who are involved in this and will be able to support on future conversations with yourself. You're also going to hear from ERIS, operated through the Energy Systems Catapult next, and jointly between ourselves and ERIS, we're trying to offer added value support and services to all the PIFA activities. And the 4 bullet points in this slide are really there to show what our EnergyRev focus is. So one of the things we're thinking about are the solutions beyond the timescales that the program needs to deliver in. So we're thinking about what innovations, what extensions and what concepts we need to continue with that allows us to take the value that everybody on this conference produces within the PIFA timescales. How do we help extend that in terms of time? We're also a community of people that have been connected to activities in the broader community energy, intelligent energy systems, and wider use of novel, renewable and low carbon energy solutions across different international programs. And therefore, what we're trying to do is draw the learning we've gained and the experience we've gained from working from those international colleagues and making it available to this particular program. So we're really thinking beyond the UK scale and what we can learn from what's been going on elsewhere and what we can influence elsewhere to show ourselves as international leaders, and also thinking beyond the timescales of perhaps the more immediate delivery around some of the other PFAR projects. So that's really what we're trying to achieve. And what we've done is we've taken the consortium of academics and researchers around that and broken it into some key themes. So in front of you, there are 6 key themes. The 4 at the top are what I describe as our deep dive ones, where we've got a lot of technical and more detailed academic expertise, and we think there are a range of innovations that are critically important to delivering smart local energy systems. And I'll drop into each of these in detail as we go through, but we are focusing on things such as the cyber physical systems, what are the business and financial practices, and what academic expertise do we have to support there, what's the policy, regulation, markets and governance aspects we can support, and what's the user engagement aspects that we can provide expertise, we can provide studies, and we can provide insight into. And then we've got a couple of cross-cutting themes. So we are heavily engaged in helping develop a whole systems understanding of what works, where, and how within a smart local energy system. And that's where we will try to capture, bring together, integrate and synthesize the learning from across all the different areas and all the different projects that are running in PFAR. And then the final area that we're working on, which is cross-cutting, is how we as academics can support the scale-up of the concepts that are coming through the PFAR programme. So as I go through some of the other slides, I'll try to drop into some detail around there, but that's how we have assembled ourselves to try and support the ongoing activities. So really what we're trying to do is deliver value to the wider PFAR programme, and that's in different ways. And you will see in front of you a broad spectrum of interventions and involvement we can have. And how we're trying to operate this is we're trying to put an offer out to the community to say where we have existing expertise, where we have existing projects we've been involved in, where we have existing insights, we want to be able to share those and make them available to those that are considering different aspects, whether that's how to have improved use of data within a smart local energy system, right through to are the policy approaches and policy and interventions being made appropriate. So in some instances, we will want to connect and collaborate directly with some of the projects. So we're already in detailed discussion with a number of the demonstrators where we are able to offer the resource that's funded in EnergyRev as resource to extend studies that's involved in the demonstrators, or look at additional concepts, or look at additional innovations that we can add on without getting in the road of their critical path for delivery. So part of it is about collaborating, but the area that we've circled on the slide in front of you is about communication and consultation. Because of the broad audience on this call, I think those are the areas that are very relevant to this discussion, because there are a number of areas where we can help communicate what we've been seeing and learning, both from what's going on in PFAR, what's been going on in other UK-based research and innovation, and what's been going on in other international innovation. And we can also consult and work directly with a number of the initiatives and programs within the overall PFAR program. So what we're trying to do is bring our expertise, our learning, our research, and going back to Rob Saunders' presentation at the beginning, try to make sure we're adding additional evidence or approaches to prove investable and scalable solutions, trying to pinpoint where we think there could be acceleration of new products and services from what we are seeing happening here in the UK and internationally. And if we can therefore, from this insight and this evidence, help unlock the finance and build the UK leadership. So that's really where we fit into the overall programme. It's about leveraging the undoubted expertise that the UK has in this area. So what I'm going to do now, and I know that the programme's been running late, so I'm not going to go into all the slides in detail. I said I'm going to leave them with you, but I'm just going to try and highlight some of the areas where we think our different themes can offer value and what we're considering. And the first of these is cyber physical systems. And there's been quite a lot of talk already on this call about data and new technologies and new solutions. So where we come in terms of the cyber physical systems is it's a set of academics and researchers who have broad expertise in the next generation of autonomous systems, of machine learning and AI, and of data platforms. And we're very focused in this program, that's EnergyRev, we're very focused on more at the operational data side. And what we're really interested in is looking at the type of concepts that are coming through and the demonstrators which are building solutions to test, for example, in LEO, minimal viable systems, and there are demonstrators that are building subcomponents of technology, control, use of data. We're looking at how to make that more flexible. Can you make it more plug and play? We have access to a range of research outputs and new technologies, and have been trialing a range of data approaches that allows that to become much more flexible, much more reusable, and much more scalable. So what we're doing is exploring with different demonstrators how we could extend their studies, not get in the road of what they're delivering, but actually add on additional prototypes and additional technology and additional uses of data that points towards what the future value and the future scalability could be if you use these approaches. So that's one theme where we are directly interacting with some of the demonstrators and some of the broader projects. We're at different stages with the different demonstrators, but we're having good conversations around that. And one of the things we are going to be doing is making sure that we align closely with the energy data studies and task force that has been operating, and we're very much interested down at the operational level. So there's a couple of slides about that, which I can leave you to look at after this presentation and come back to us if you need any additional information. I would point out here that, and I think Rob mentioned this and a couple of others, that a big part of PIFA is bringing in the use of AI and trying to get much more smart in terms of smart tech and use of data into smart local energy systems. And that's something we're very focused on in here, because we've got people with long-term experience and expertise in using that type of technology. So that's the first theme that we're focused on. The next theme that we're focused on is business and financial practices. And this, I guess, would be more of a cross-cutting theme where we could offer value into a range of areas, including the demonstrators, the broader PIFA stakeholders, perhaps some of the investors that are on the call today. And we have academics who have excellent expertise and experience on mapping and analysing business practices and business models, particularly in an energy system context. So they've been, for example, at the high level, building a database of local energy businesses in the UK. They've created a first of a kind database, I believe, of 699 companies, where they can examine the type of companies that are active in there, the type of business models that they use and the business practices that they use, and what the value of those could be in the future and how they could grow and scale. And then from that, this set of academics will be working with local businesses to explore the value propositions and costs and revenues around different energy system business practices and potential business models, and using things like the business model canvas, etc., to drive that. So the idea there would be to build a picture and an analysis of what the smart local energy system might look like in terms of different types of businesses offering different value, and where the customers would be able to access that. And they'll also be modelling and simulating that and looking at the investability of those companies. So that will be drawing upon what's happening in the UK and what's happening internationally. And out of that, we see a range of analyses, models, and reports that could inform a broad range of activities across the whole PIFA programme. And from that, they'll help grow effective business modes and business models, and provide data, giving factual insights into the current state of UK local energy business sector, and then a framework of how we can build beyond that. So the overall value there would be to help inform future policy and regulatory innovation, and also to try and support potential investors in this area. Moving on from that, we've got a large activity around policy, regulation, markets and governance, and a number of people already today have recognised that this whole area is pivotal to the delivery of smart local energy systems, and there is a lot of consideration to be taken into account in terms of policy and regulation to make sure we can unlock the value going forward. So this has got a number of elements that I think are really valuable to the broader PFAR community, and that a number of people are already engaging with, and there will be broader engagement going forward. So in the first instance, it's taking a very agile sprint-based approach to looking at the policy and regulatory landscape, and essentially thinking about what are the key things that keep policymakers awake at night, and what are the key areas where policy needs to be considered, and then doing a rapid crowdsourced approach to gathering information, insight, and feedback on challenges in that area, and then creating a range of landscape documents that describe what problems might exist, what challenges might exist, and what interventions might need to be made. And we're on to the third of those, I believe, now. We've already released one around electric storage and electric vehicles and digital energy platforms, and we're currently crowdsourcing information around heating and cooling, demand, supply, and storage. So that's a very accessible and rapidly evolving set of outputs that we believe the wider community can build upon and make use of. And it's also been driven through an energy policy contact group that Jeff Hardy at Imperial College has set up, and that is making sure that the appropriate people are getting together regularly to consider those key challenges that policy makers are concerned about, and to find interventions and approaches to providing insight into that. And then it will feed on to some other theory of change activities that's going on here that I'll get on to describe. And all of this is also feeding into a broader policy working group that's been set up for the whole PFAR community, where common policy and regulatory challenges across the demonstrators are being considered. So we're trying to make a direct input in terms of key insight and studies that can inform this whole policy regulation and markets aspect of what's going on. And from that, inform future policy direction. And the diagram and the timeline in front of you can show how we're trying to get some policy and regulatory review series out, which have already started, and then move into a phase of trying to help define the benefits of smart local energy systems, and then look at the future scenarios for future smart local energy systems in terms of policy and regulation, and have some decision theatres to help feed in to what near-term decisions and longer-term decisions are required in this area. So that is something that is open for people to draw upon and to get fully engaged on. And then on the fourth sort of deep dive area, we've got great expertise on user engagement, preference and behaviour studies around the whole citizens' engagement with energy. And our activity in that area, the academics involved in that, are working closely with some of the demonstrators and more broadly across the PFAR programme to try and co-create what they're calling mapping sentences, which are basically the routes to what the users and the user behaviour changes we're looking for are, how the different actors around the smart local energy system view those, and from that trying to unpick how we can influence users, how we can feed in what user behaviour seems to be indicating in terms of preferences, and how we can use that to both inform short and long-term smarter local energy system innovations, and also running a number of workshops to help the demonstrators and wider PFAR projects to consider their approach to dealing with this, and working with stakeholder teams to make sure that they can help articulate to users what they're looking for, and users can articulate back what the challenges are, and that has been proven to help with some of the communication plans that the demonstrators, etc., are developing. But really what we're trying to do here is make sure that we do longitudinal user research. So we work with users across a long period of time to understand what's influencing their behaviour, and whether the type of interventions and innovations coming through PFAR are aligning with their needs, or are there any other aspects that are not being considered, or are there any adjustments that need to be made to improve that engagement. So that's one aspect that we're driving through this, is that longitudinal user research, but also another aspect is co-creating what the smart inclusive energy tools might be. There are a whole range, of new energy tools, from smart thermostats to apps that tell you about your energy. We heard about one earlier from the investment presentation about the heating app. So one of the aspects of this research is to look at what's come out internationally and globally, what's happened in the UK, and can we get further down the line of prototyping and designing what these energy tools might look like to help drive the type of behaviours we want. So that's really what we're doing around those first 4 themes. That draws me quickly on to the whole systems understanding cross-cutting theme. And really there are 3 key areas in this. One's a broader study around how smart local energy system activities lead to the desired outcomes, and from that building a theory of change model of where we can map the type of outcomes we want and build an evidence chain of the type of interventions, the type of innovations, and the type of energy system approaches that lead to those better outcomes. So really it's about building a chain of, given the outcomes we hope from PFER and the evidence we're seeing from demonstrators, PFER activities, and other international academic and energy activities, can we create that theory of change that helps inform the type of solutions and products and approaches you need to put in place and which timescales to deliver it. And then alongside that, we're developing a multi-criteria framework and toolkit that helps evaluate with metrics whether certain solutions are actually hitting those and leading us to those outcomes. And then more broadly, we've got an activity going on where we're modelling smart local energy systems within the wider UK energy system to understand the whole scalability and local aspects in the context of a national energy system, and what type of savings, benefits, and also deployment strategies we need when we go through scaling. So those are the 3 key areas in there. There are some more detailed slides around how we're doing that. So in terms of that mapping activities to outcomes, this is a very simple example, but we're looking at literature reviews, surveys, interviews, workshops, and working groups, and also closely connecting to the international community. So the people leading some of the activity in this theme are also part of a global observatory where international partners looking in smart local energy systems and community energy and peer-to-peer energy are getting together to share best practice evidence and their experiences of building such systems. So we're feeding that into here and trying to build a map of how you get to the benefits and some of the barriers you have to overcome and some of the incentives you have to put in place. And from that, seeing if we can build the pathways that would lead to successfully demonstrating and successfully delivering some of the outcomes. So the example in front is a simple way of building a pathway towards creating local job creation out of smart local energy systems. So there'll be a whole range of these which we'll gather evidence around and then be able to relay back to the community and provide input and evidence around. And then in terms of the multi-criteria framework and toolkit, what we're trying to do for this is get to a point where you can get an independent assessment of the performance of smart local energy systems. And there's different areas you can see in front of you where you might want to assess the type of performance, whether it's the economic and techno-economic performance, or whether it's to do with the engagement with people, or if it's a socio-political performance. But what we're trying to have is a validated methodology so that there is evidence for investors and funders that the smart local energy system that's being considered is actually reaching the level of performance you would expect to invest in it, and shows evidence that it is going to be able to deliver the value and benefits that is predicted for it and then desired from it. And that evidence can also be provided to government. So that's what we're trying to achieve with the multi-criteria framework. And this next slide's a very busy one, which I'm not going to go into, and I'll leave it with you afterwards. But really, this is the concept of modelling where smart local energy systems fit into the wider system. And what we're trying to do is understand everything in terms of the techno-economic impact of smart local energy systems, both at a local level and how that affects the techno-economic decisions to be made across the UK's national energy system. So that's a broader study that's ongoing. And the final cross-cutting theme is we're trying to support scale-up and consider that from our academic expertise and studies. So what the goal is we're trying to understand the pathways for upscaling, the technical limitations, such as resources in terms of technical resources, but also are we designing and building smart local energy systems in a way that they are technically difficult to scale up? So what are the barriers, the hurdles, the drivers and the enablers, and what are the technology, policy, economic and skills requirements we have for scale up? So we're trying to work across all the activities that are going on through workshops, through case studies of what's happened now and in the past, and interviews with experts and the wider industry, so that we can feed in key evidence and key insights that support all the discussion around scale up, replication and growth of smart local energy systems towards the type of outcomes that we desire from it. So what you can probably tell from there is some of our themes and activities are focused around working directly with demonstrators and design projects and the detailed designs. Some are more broadly interacting with the wider PFER stakeholders and trying to answer longer term questions. And this portfolio of activities, we hope, is delivering the evidence in different areas that allow us to have confidence on how we could prove investability, how we could prove scalability, and how we could accelerate some of this. So that's what we're trying to achieve through EnergyRev. We were due to have some breakout discussions and other broader discussions, either in smaller work packages on this call, which we weren't able to do, obviously because of the change of the format. But really, this slide is just saying there's some key questions that we are trying to help provide insight and evidence for from an EnergyRev perspective. And what we're trying to do is work and collaborate with the broader PFER community as appropriate and in the appropriate way to feed our insights and our studies and our research into that to support what all of you are doing. And we're wanting to do that in a way that we don't get in the road of your critical path of delivery, but we augment what you can do and add value. And that's why we break this down to detailed discussion per stakeholder or per demonstrator or detailed design project. And the final thing I want to say is we've got an active webpage where we're starting to put the blogs and outputs that are coming out from our innovation, but also on that you can sign up we have a professional stakeholder management system that through that you can opt in to different aspects of our work that you're interested in, and you will then get targeted communications and access to our regular newsletters and updates on what we're delivering, and it will alert you to the outputs and the insights that we are producing. So the best way to keep in touch and to keep on top of what we're doing is to come through our website and register for our stakeholder database, and that will then give you targeted information. And we will also be really keen to discuss with anybody that wants to get involved in any of these themes or activities or workshops that I've outlined. So I hope that gives you a good flavour of what we're trying to achieve. It is a big activity, it's very broad ranging, but we believe what we're doing is leveraging the best expertise we can to feed into the overall PFER programme and make it as successful as possible.
Thank you very much, Stephen. That was great.